Okay, good evening everyone. I'm going to talk today about a series of photos, how to use photos to show detail. And what is a series of photos? Well, a series of photos is a group of photos about one subject or a location or a place. Together, this group of photos will add information about a subject. Now, this is used quite extensively in the magazine business and a lot of other places, online, things like that. To portray or transmit information through the use of photos that add information to either the article or to themselves. So a series of photos together would enhance each other photo in that series. Now, like I said, the series are used all the time in magazine articles. They're used to give more detail about the subject of the article. Now each photo is going to have a relationship with the other photo. Now each photo is going to have a relationship with the other photo. However, each photo in the series should also be shot so that it's strong enough to stand alone as an independent image. So even though all the photos relate to each other, if you separate each photo and just show them independently of each other, they would be a good photo on their own, and that's the idea there. Now more specifically, a series of photographs is defined as a group of images that relate together around one topic. While each photo must be able to stand alone, they must also relate in some fashion. There must be a reason why they're all together. These are not photographed as random shots, so that's not what you're trying to produce here. You're not putting random shots together and trying to make something out of it. They should all be photographed to talk about a certain thing or give information on a certain thing or subject. While the photos do relate to each other, they are not telling the story or showing how something is being done or made. So these photos do not necessarily tell a story. Not saying that they absolutely won't, but generally they don't tell a story. They add to information about something. So in other words, a series of photos can be placed in any order and still make sense. So if you put a series of photos up, no matter which order you put them in, it's still going to make sense as to why they are all together. Now if the photos have to go in a certain order, then you most likely have a sequence of images. Now this is not what we want for a series of photos. A sequence of images generally shows you how to do something or make something. Now here's an example of a sequence of photos. Now in this example we have some airplane insignias that we're making for this model airplane here. And you see that they go in order. You see that they're being cut out on the cutting board, then they're being placed together, then they're being ironed onto the wing, then some trim is added to it, and then we see the finished product there in the plane. Now, as you can see, these images have to go in a certain order to make sense. If we put them out of order, which is what we're going to do here, you see that the sequence doesn't make sense. The sequence of images generally show how to make or do something again. So once they go out of order, it doesn't make sense as to why they're there. Now for series detail, in a series of images, each additional photo adds content and meaning to the other in the series. They give the viewer more information about the subject you are showing them than a single photograph would. Now is there a story? Now sometimes there can be. For example, if you show images of a town through, a couple hundred years, then yeah, there might be a story there showing how it started and where it's at today. But mainly the series of images will give the viewer more information about the subject than you are showing them. Think of it as vacation photos, okay, that you are going to show your family. So an example here is Randsburg. This is a picture from Randsburg, and let's say I went to a ghost town named Randsburg and shared the information on Facebook along with this image. People would see that I was there, but I really don't convey any information to them about what Randsburg is all about. However, if I post these images along with the information that I went to Randsburg, so if these showed up in your feed, you would see various images, different types of images, and these are all showing different aspects of Randsburg and different parts of Randsburg that I walked around and photographed. So you can see that there's a lot more information with all these images added to that one image. With all those images, my viewers will have a better understanding and feel for Ransburg. Also notice that those images can be presented in any order, and they still give the viewer the same information. So no matter how I would present those images, you would still understand that I'm showing you more information about Ransburg through my various pictures. Now, a series of images, there's two ways to show it. And there's two ways to present a series of images. In the previous example of Ransburg, I showed vastly different images of different subjects, such as cars, buildings, factories, and landscape shots. But all of them related to Ransburg, the ghost town, and it gave my viewers more information about that town and my vacation. This type of series of images are good for locations and are used in travel magazines. And they're also used in subject talks, such as articles on birds, cars, like top 10 products of the year. You're going to have different products that don't look anything the same, but they all relate to each other because they're the top 10 products of the year. Or even event coverage. An event can have a lot of different types of pictures during that event, and they will all relate to that event. Now, like I said, there's two ways to show this. The second way to shoot a series of images is to shoot one subject, such as a product review or real estate images of a home or building. Here you shoot one subject and show many different visual aspects, photos of it. Each photo adds more to the information being presented and gives the viewer a better understanding and feel of the product. Now, shooting images for a single subject, there are three different types of shot styles to show a series of photos for a subject. Now, these are styles that we talk about that we have to examine a single subject. Content or establishing shot. And then we have a relationship shot or shots. They can be a number of them. And we have a detail shot or detailed shots, a number of them too. So let's look at each one of these. Let's start out with context or establishing shot. Now, this image will give the most information about the subject. It includes the subject and the environment surrounding it. In most cases, this is a wide-angle shot. And here are some examples of wide-angle shots for different subjects. Now, the first one is a transmitter, remote control transmitter. We show the overall transmitter. The other one is this band performing on stage, and we show the overall band with the audience in the foreground. The state capitol building for California is shown there, and a product of a case used to hold drones is shown in the fourth photo, and we show the overall case with the drone and stuff inside. And then last, I have a house from Ransburg that I show an overall outside view of that house. Now from there, we go to relationship shots. These give us more information about the subject. The image starts to cut in and focus on the subject more closely, and they begin to eliminate the surroundings to focus on one or two aspects of the subject. And again, we see that in these pictures here. And the first one to come up is a transmitter, which I'm narrowed down to a smaller section of that transmitter, although I'm not into specific details, but I am showing, like in this case, the gimbals. I narrowed it down to one band member playing the bass guitar there. The Capitol building, I'm just showing the dome part, the upper dome and the upper part of the building here in this picture. So I'm not showing the entire Capitol building, I'm just showing the dome part. And in the case for the drone, I'm showing the inside of the case and some of the stuff that it's holding. And then the last one is the house at Ransburg. I'm detailing out some stairs and entrance to that house. Now from here we move on to detail shots, shot or shots. And finally, these shots close in on the subject. They show specific qualities about the subject. You want to think of them as close-up photos, which is what generally they are. Now here we again have that transmitter to the left there, and I'm showing specific switches and buttons on the transmitter. Of the band members, I'm showing the guitar that one of the guitar players is working on there. Of the Capitol building, I'm showing the inside of the dome specifically to show the artwork that goes with that building. The case that holds the drone, now I'm showing single parts of that, in this case where the transmitter slides into. And that house in Randsburg, I'm showing an old jack that's outside of that house. So all of these are detail shots of each one of those pictures there. Now, some ideas for series of images could include bridges, ghost town, fire hydrants, different types of fire hydrants, different types of insects, different types of birds, different pets, graffiti. You could show all different types of tagging around the city and on different buildings, cars, trucks, trains, overhead bridges, things like that, overpasses. You can show some lighthouses, landmarks, different landmarks, maybe in your city or in the state. Different piers along the beach, different styles of the way they look. You can even go into poverty. You show different aspects of poverty through this series of images. Signs, you can show different signs that are posted around. Forms of transportation. And last, you can have water, reflections in the water, water drops, different things like that all show a series of images that all relate to each other. And these are done in the first way, where we can just have different pictures of different things. Now, ideas for series of images on a single subject. Again, this could include a product review, where you have one product and you take an overall shot and you start narrowing into all the aspects of that product. A bridge, so instead of doing many bridges, and showing all different types of bridges, you're going to take one bridge and show its structure and how it's put together. A cemetery is a good one that you can photograph and then go around and get details inside the cemetery, and also relationship shots like some of the buildings that are in there. A dilapidated house or building, I showed you that with that house from Randsburg. A lighthouse, so instead of showing a bunch of different lighthouses along the coast, you would focus in on one particular lighthouse and give us details about that. A landmark, just take one single landmark. And again, single subjects, just narrow it down to one thing. Instead of many piers, we have one pier that we're going to show, and we're going to show an overall shot and relationship shots and detail shots. Any type of vehicle, music instrument you can do, and a bird. We can pick out one bird. So let's go with that. For example, here I show you some images of hawks. I show different hawks and different images of different hawks, and how they are, and some of them relate to each other. There are a lot of head shots. There's one flying shot, there's one on a nest, but they're all related because they're all hawks, so they have that relationship there. Now I can also do a series of images on one particular hawk. So I would start out with a context shot, like on this red-tailed hawk here. I'd show the overall hawk sitting on the branch there, and then I can show some relationship shots where I start closing in on the hawk and showing some detail. The one in the bottom left there is after the hawk has made a kill of a rabbit there, and so I'm showing some of the lifestyle, give you some information about what this hawk does or what it eats. And then detail shots, I show you detail shots of the feathers, close-ups of those, and the intricate pattern design on those, and a really close-up shot of the eye. And you'll notice that right next in front of the eye there's actually a tick on this hawk there. So now I can also go on a series of images of Mono Lake. So because I'm just picking out Mono Lake, again I'm going to have a context shot of the overall lake there, and then I'm going to start showing some relationship shots of the tufas there, and I'm going to include a number of them in those shots. And then I'm going to start getting some detail shots of the individual tufas there, which Mono Lake is known for. So another way is the series of images on calico. Now all these are just random shots around calico. They all relate to each other. Some of them are context shots, some of them are detail, some of them are overall view of there, and some are relationships. But they're all of a different building, different parts of calico. So that all works as a series of images if we were doing a story on, let's say, calico. So in conclusion, a series of photos is a group of images about one subject or place. They have to relate to each other in some form, but they don't necessarily have to tell a story, or they definitely should not show how to make or do something. That's a whole different type of photos. Each photo should be strong enough to stand on its own. Individual photos are still going to look good. They don't require the other ones to be there to make sense. Now there are two ways to shoot a series of photos, like we said, or like I've said. One is a group of subjects that relate to each other, such as the hawks. And the other one that we're going to work with is for single subjects. And for single subject, each photo adds more information on that item. So we're giving you more detailed information about our single subject that we photographed. For that, we have 3 different shot types from left to right: the context, and then the relationship, and then the detail shots. It's just these from Calico. So I hope that you enjoyed that and have an understanding of a series of images. And a lot of times we shoot that to get them published in articles, and you know, clients request that they want a series of images on a certain thing, and so we send them as many as we can to create that series. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to you guys tagging along on my next video, and we will hopefully speak soon.